What's going on, everybody? It is Pride Month. Happy Pride to everybody out there. This is your indie game podcast. My name is Josh. I'm one of your co-hosts, and I'm joined by one of my awesome co-hosts, Steve. How are you doing today?
We're doing fantastic. My wife almost got stranded at the lake, but last second she came in the clutch, and so I am here with you fine gentlemen to discuss fine video games.
Awesome. I'm also joined by the captain himself, Captain Drachma. How are you, Seth, with your fancy new mic?
You called it fancy, so I guess now that I wasn't even going to mention it, but I did get a new mic. So if there's any differences to the listeners, that's why. It is not special, but it does have a nice mic arm, which I very much appreciate. It gives me more room. But Steve talked about Leah coming in clutch. I also sort of came in clutch because I finished my game for today this morning, so I'm very excited to talk about that game and the games that you two brought.
I finished my game 2 hours before us recording this, and it's worth mentioning for folks that we got delayed by almost an hour starting. So it was truly down to the wire, but we got it done.
That's funny.
I was going to say your mic is special because the person speaking into it is a special person, you know?
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
True.
It's a big week this week. Switch 2 is coming out. I know I'm excited. Steve, you got your pre-order in too. We got 2 of them from 2 different places, so I'm waiting for one to ship, and then I got to go to Best Buy to get the other one. You know,
I also have the same situation where I got 2. I didn't know. I never trust where the pre-orders are going to come from and who's going to cancel and whatnot, so I locked in 2 different ones at 2 different spots. And then they both seem to be going through, so I offered one up to my sister-in-law. So she's going to be getting a Switch 2, and I'll be getting a Switch 2. A little Mario Kart action, maybe some Deltarune to keep it indie-focused. But in reality, it's the DK Bonanza waiting room is what it is.
I agree. But
yeah,
I was like looking at, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to download some of the games that have some of the big patches, like Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. But I'm like, what we're really waiting for is the dude in the tie, the big monkey in the tie, just waiting around the corner.
Well, we always talk about this, but maybe I'll bring Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour to the show. Think about it, all right? Self-published. They have no publisher. Nintendo published it themselves. It's only a $10 game, low entry price. It's a small experience. It's kind of highly specialized in one area. They're not trying to be an expansive open world game. It really, if it was just the who's that Pokemon silhouette, you would never know it wasn't an indie game.
And then it's just Nintendo giving you the middle finger. when they actually show it, we got you.
Miyamoto what?
It's funny you say that. Steve, because I was thinking the same thing about Night Rain. Night Rain's not full price. It is not a big game, but it kind of falls into the same. I was going to make the same joke is what I'm trying to get at. You stole it, so thank you.
I mean, Night Rain literally reuses the assets of the world's most successful AAA game of the last 10 years. So,
yeah, I'm bringing the Jay and Silent Bob skin pack for Call of Duty Battlezone or Warzone.
Okay, I have a hypothetical scenario for you. Let's say Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, okay? Not an indie game. I think we can all agree on this. The world's most expensive game to develop is not indie,
probably
believe it or not.
The most expensive thing ever
created, right?
Yeah. Right.
But let's say one of the guys, technical artist, Solo, somehow convinces Rockstar to sign over use of their assets, and he creates a one-man only weird roguelike using all of the models and environments from GTA 6. And again, for some reason, Rockstar permits him to self-publish it, or he gets it published Annapurna or Acapara or something. We count it. Is that an indie game?
I think that's within the indie realm. I think that kind of is similar, if we're not joking at all here, to people making Pokemon ROM hacks like that. that's very indie. I mean, yes, they used somebody else's property, but it was one guy who took that stuff. Or it reminds me of like Dreams.
Honestly,
like Dreams is, it's all contained within a game, which is AAA, right? Dreams is AAA, and then they make their own indie games within it. So, or RPG Maker, right? Same type of thing. So I think that's fine.
So I was trying to bring the imaginary GTA 6 game, but now what you're telling me is that I have the green light to bring Pregnant Sonic the Hedgehog fan game from Dreams, which is even better.
I think
main quest.
I think that yeah. Wait, there's a pregnant Sonic the Hedgehog game in
Don't
Dreams?
Google it, but I'm
okay.
Just trust me, it can happen. I don't know if it's still around, but like if you give anyone the tools for creative expression, Pregnant Sonic the Hedgehog shows up. And it's a matter of when, not if.
How does that work in Dreams? Like, is there copyright stuff where the creators can't make? Like, I couldn't go in there and make a Mario game, could I?
Oh, there's plenty.
There's lots of Mario games, lots
really?
of like Sonic
okay.
games. I it's either like since you're creating it all in the tools yourself, it's fine. But I think in reality, it's just like Sega and Nintendo don't know where to look, or it's not too big. Maybe they kind of overlook it because they're like, well, litigating this is us litigating against Sony, and now we're in a legal battle against like our biggest competitor, and that just gets uglier for other reasons. So maybe we just kind of like quietly accept that the Super Mario Bros. 1-1 recreation in Dreams is not siphoning off any of our business and keep tight-lipped.
I'm just over here hoping that the pregnant Sonic guy gets picked up because everybody actually really likes it, and Sega notices, just like the guy that made Sonic Mania.
It's true. I mean, Sonic Mania, the death of Sonic the Hedgehog was a big success. People like to see Sonic in creative situations, we'll say. All right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We want to see Sonic as a family man, and we want the origin story in particular, is what I'm saying.
Oh man,
right.
Yeah. Dreams is weird though. They had like Courage the Cowardly Dog game in there, and like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like that stuff would get more like litigated than a Sonic or Mario almost, but they're still chilling in there. Like maybe it's so low key that people don't care anymore at that point, right?
Yeah, and the tragic reality is that within like 2 years, that'll all just get nuked anyways. It's on life support as it is, so.
Yeah, the execs are like, Dreams what?
Yeah,
that's okay.
I hope that Locke and all, Daily Observer and all those good amazing games that are in there, they should like. I'm sure our buddy, friend of the show, 1,000 Pixel Gorilla, is probably working on something, trying to like get it in Unity or something. Hopefully, I don't know.
I sure hope so, man, because that game deserves to be saved for sure. But we'll see. This is how we all learn that Nintendo's head legal chief is a huge IndieQuest fan, and he's listening to the show right now like, son of a... You telling me Mario's in Dreams right now? How do you give me my PS4? I got to do some legal research.
We see an article
about to hit some billable hours
tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Doug Bowser himself.
Yeah. What is this Dreams nonsense?
Just so you don't, we get an email in the inbox. It's just Nintendo header and everything. Yeah. Anyway.
But hey, video games?
Video games. Next week is Summer Game Fest. I guess there's not much to talk about, but I'm excited about it. I always am. I always try to watch it as live as I possibly can, but usually they do it at like noon on a Friday or something while I'm at work. So it's like, okay, well, I'll watch it when I get home, I guess. But yeah, that's happening next week. So
I haven't seen it. Have there been any leaks or anything from that yet?
Not really that I've seen. But there's like a showcase every 30 seconds nowadays. So I feel like, it's like less exciting than, back in the day, popping on G4 TV or something and like, getting your popcorn and chilling in front of the TV. But E3 dying made it to where everybody can make a presentation, which is a good thing, but also it's just like there's always a presentation. So, yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the spectacle of like a Summer Games Fest I know it's just like a marketing arm for all the biggest AAA studios, so it's like whatever. But some of the bigger indies can show up there too, right? Like we got Daniel Mullins announcing Pony Island 2. I think at the last one, right? Or two SGFs ago. So there's always like one or two big tentpole indies, I feel like. And so we'll get something worth talking about out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I feel like Jeff Keighley is always like, let's find at least one or two little people that nobody's ever like heard of. One person developer or like a small team, and let's shine some light on them, because it's like the biggest light you can shine on one person working in their garage or whatever on a game.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can do what we do here and bring some games to the quest log. Are you guys ready for that?
Born ready.
Yeah. All right. What is the quest log? It's an ever-growing list of curated indie games that we think everyone should play. And we made a little bit of change to the main quest. Well, I made a change. I made an executive decision, and the other guys were like, yeah, that's fine. I said, we're going to add a sentence to it. So usually we say it's a game that's easily recommendable to anybody. It's an incredible experience, a certified banger. And now we're going to add, it excels in its genre beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's going to be, because that fits for some of these games that we bring. We're like, well, maybe it's not for everybody, but this game just rips. It's so good, Like, a good example is maybe Blueprints. I don't know if everybody's going to like Blueprints, but it's so good at being what it is that has to be on a main quest, Yeah. So, And then we have the side quest, which is still a recommendation. There might be a caveat or two. It might be a little niche. It might not be that 10 out of 10. It might be an 8 or 10 out of 10 or something like that. But it's still a recommendation. It's still a game we had a great time with and that you should check out. So who wants to go first today?
I'll go first today. I got a little small one, kind of an appetizer to warm us up, Not fill our bellies, but get our bellies talking, as they say. So today I'm bringing a video game that I streamed, actually.
Whoa. Oh boy.
I'm going to be discussing Dig Dino. All right. Fellas, what's our familiarity with Dig Dino? I can tell the blank faces tell me they don't know what it is.
That we're both looking it up.
Apparently you don't read my Blue Sky threads, but whatever. I guess we're fighting. Anyways. So Dig
I
Dig
see
Dino.
the screenshots from this. Yeah, I'll go. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Dig Dino, developed by two fellas. Well, two individuals. I guess I don't know if they're fellas. Dom2D and Fire. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Dom2D did the art, Fire did the code, and then they both worked on the game design itself. Dig Dino is one of the 3 games that launched as part of Playdate's Season 2 offerings. So for those unfamiliar with the Playdate, it's that adorable little yellow Game Boy handheld thing that came out a couple of years back that has a crank on it. That's the most notable thing that I think everybody notices is you get a little crank a little handle to spin. And the way that Playdate releases their games, or has to this point, is they do have a marketplace where you can just go buy games through it and play them, but they also release seasons of games where every week new games are delivered to your Playdate. So you pay for like the season pass basically up front, and then you get a new game every week. The reason that Season 2 is exciting is because this is the first time that all of the games are being delivered to basically everybody who has a Playdate at the same time. When the first season came out, demand and like shipments and orders and stuff, people were all getting their Playdates at different times, so everyone's like starting date was different, and so everyone was all offset. You didn't all have the same game, but now everyone is unlocking the same games at the same time. So it means there's like a little more of a community discussion around them.
Speaking of everyone getting it at the same time, Steve, I have not looked into this lately. Is there a way for our listeners, if they don't have one and they really love this game or any of the games they've heard of on the Playdate, is there a way to easily get one these days? Like, can you just buy it off a retail site?
I assume that you can. Their website is play.date. So I'm guessing you can just go buy one now. I'll double check. Oh, they're on back order. Dang.
Okay. Yeah, I thought they were fairly limited. So that's why I always thought it was almost, or I guess recently thought it was almost weird that they were coming out with new games, like that's great. I obviously the Playdate owners want the new games, but like how do they, and this is a tangent, certainly like a marketing tangent, but how do they get new customers to come and play these games type of thing, So
that's a really good question. Now, on their website, it does say back order, but then it says estimated delivery 2 to 3 weeks for USA. So maybe it's not like a super big back order, or it's possible that note is just standard and they didn't take it off when it went on back order. I'm not too sure. So there really is no other way. I mean, I'm looking at eBay now, and first off, people have 3D printed some crazy stuff for the Playdate, but beyond that, it's like they retail for $230, and it looks like on eBay they do go a little higher than that. They go more like $350. So there's like $100 markup to get it secondhand, unless you catch like a cheap auction. Actually, no, you know what? I'm lying, because when I look at the solds, they all sell right around the $200 mark. So if you can't get one through their official channels and you're patient, put a save search on eBay or something, seems like eventually you can catch one for $200. So
all of these games every game that's on the Playdate is exclusively for the Playdate.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah. Like, I don't there's any way to play them like on your PC. I mean, a lot of them, almost all of them, necessitate that crank. So, kind of weird and difficult to emulate. But even games that don't, like, as we'll get into here with Dig Dig Dino, really doesn't use the crank almost at all. Even that is still exclusive to the store.
Cool.
But it is a cool handheld if folks are interested. It is certainly boutique, I guess is the word, because $200 is a lot to spend, and you are really paying for kind of the novelty of this little handheld. And this is a handheld where the screen does not have a backlight. All the games are in like black and white pixels, so you're kind of like buying into a vibe and an experience in playing it. You're not paying $200, I don't think, strictly for the tech necessarily. So be that as it may. But Dig Dig Dino, one of the 3 games that released as part of Season 2, and the one that I put the most time into, and I think kind of the most robust of the 3. And I wanted to bring some Playdate stuff. I don't know if we've ever brought a Playdate game here.
I don't think so.
I've brought a couple to Polykill before, but like as far as like honestly, as far as hardware, like Playdate is almost like an indie hardware. It's like indie hardware, indie console itself. Right. So it is like you can't play anything on the Playdate that isn't an indie. So it's great in that regard. But Dig Dig Dino it's a game about digging, if you could believe it. This right out the gate, this is very similar to I haven't played this game, but I imagine this is very similar to the loop of a game about digging a hole, or similar honestly to even like roguelite deck builder, which we talked about not long ago.
Oh, okay. Yep.
This is a game where you play as a paleontologist, and your goal is to dig into these different dig sites. There's 3 that you progressively unlock over the course of the game. And you're trying to dig up old bones. And when you dig up bones, they're dinosaur bones, there's like a menu that you can go into and see what kind of like a silhouetted dinosaur that will be all blacked out, and you'll see just the bone that you've unlocked. Like, oh, I see the foot on this dinosaur. And then once you found all the bones that kind of reconstruct that dinosaur, then you can sort of like play a little cutscene, and it will recreate what that dinosaur looked like, and it'll give you a little story blurb about that dinosaur. So your goal, ultimately, kind of your narrative thrust, is to dig up these dinosaur bones, as well as these strange artifacts, which are just kind of like one-off items that also deliver a little bit of story, to kind of understand what happened here, because it's in a fictional world where like there was more going on with the dinosaurs than our dinosaurs, I'll just say. It's a little without spoiling too much, it's a little more like the dinosaur people in Chrono Trigger than the dinosaurs of our world. Okay. So the actual like loop of that is it's like a top-down grid view, and you can take a shovel and dig up any square of dirt, or you have a drill that lets you dig through rocks. You can't drill through a rock unless you have unearthed the entire rock. So if you're digging and you hit like the corner of a boulder, you need to dig out the entire boulder, and then you can drill into that to clear the entire boulder out of the way, to open up more space to do the digging. And then, of course, as you're digging, this is like the core loop, the treadmill of it all. You will uncover trash, gems, coins, just a whole bunch of things that all ultimately translate into money. And then there's a workshop where you can upgrade your dig abilities and become more efficient. So you can upgrade like how deep you dig with a single strike, or same for drilling. You can upgrade so you have more energy so you can dig for longer. And then you can also dig up like a whole bunch of little like optional abilities and things. You know, you can get like you can unlock like a radar that you ping that'll show you like what squares actually have something underneath them, so you kind of know where to dig. Or you can unlock this little dog buddy, this little puppy that will sniff out where the nearest bone is, the nearest dinosaur bone, and it'll tell you, dig in this spot, there's a bone down here, which I thought was pretty cute.
That's cute.
But this is just one of those loop games, man, right? It's just like sort of turn your brain off. You just do some digging. There's no real time pressure. There's no crunch. You're just unearthing stuff, get some money, do the loop a couple times, go back, upgrade. Now you're digging a little faster, a little deeper, a little more efficient. Do that, go back again. You'll never be like, you can't even miss anything. So when you dig, every square that you dig will use up one piece of energy. And let's say you have like 50 pieces of energy, you can dig in 50 spots before that round is up. At the end of that round, if there's anything that you dug up that you like forgot to pick up, like any gems or trash or anything, the game like puts a little exclamation point above them and says like, hey, pick this up so that the round is done. So you can't even miss stuff that you did unearth. It's a very generous game in that regard. And it's designed to be relaxing, so much so that I'll read you the description from the Playdate website of the game, and it's so funny. The last sentence in particular, I've never seen this really like mentioned in a game's description. So they say, shovel your way down to many incredible mysteries. Piece together whole skeletons and analyze strange artifacts. Uncover lost secrets buried deep underground. Sell off your treasure to build an arsenal of digging tools, then upgrade them to go deeper and find even more bones and more loot. This game is perfect to play while watching TV. No time pressure, no reflexes needed. Like, they specifically say, dude, just go get caught up on Severance, man, and just, every now and again do some digging.
Right?
Which I thought was very funny. If you've ever played anything on Playdate, you'll kind of already sort of know the aesthetic. It is obviously black and white, but it looks so good. Like the screen on a Playdate is so crisp and so beautiful that even though, you are having to like play it outside or angle it like towards a lamp so that you can see well, when you are looking at it, you're just like, damn, man, this looks nice. It looks really crisp.
Premium.
This game specifically reminds me, and I know it doesn't play anything like this game, but it's probably like the boulders and like the grassy field and just the square that you're looking at, like the viewing angle. It reminds me a lot of Mole Mania in aesthetic.
Yeah,
right?
Yes. Very similar. And that game rules, so that's a good comparison. It's actually pretty impressive, I think, because, as you're digging down, you'll have multiple dig spots that are at various depths, basically. And sometimes it'll be like dirt, and then, a square next to that, one layer down will be a half-covered rock, and then one layer down is a hole you've dug even deeper. And all of that is represented just like through textures in black and white. And it's very visually clear. Like there's really no doubt about what you're looking at as you're playing it, which feels like it would be really hard to do in a strictly black and white small screen.
It does a good job of outlining when you've gone down a layer too, right? Like there are specific, almost like you're in Excel or something, right? Like there's specific outlines around surface levels that are down deeper than the other ones. They also are distinct in like how they look, but it's nice that they actually outline those squares. And it's not that every single square is outlined by itself. Like if two next to each other are the same depth, they will mesh together. So that gives you some, depth there, but it's cool that they were able to do this with a 2D game, right? Like that's kind of the dream. So it's pretty nice. Very good looking.
Yeah, really. And And that's kind of all you want it to be, right? You just want it to be relaxing and nice to look at. I will say the story, at first I was like, the story doesn't really seem like it matters either way. That's not really the point. And that is true. Like, this is not like a grand narrative adventure. This is no Claire Obscure. But I ended up appreciating it more than I thought I would. I guess not the story. I appreciated the writing more than I thought I would. Because they do a couple, they make some fun little jokes, and it does like a neat little twist. And they just have good descriptions, because you'll unearth these dinosaurs, and they'll just like look kind of weird, and in some cases they'll almost look like RPG classes in a way, without spoiling too much. So you're looking at like a dinosaur holding like a sword or something, and they just have a funny description for the dinosaurs. Is basically what it amounts to. Like I mentioned though, it doesn't really use the crank, which is kind of a bummer on Playdate. It's all just D-pad and one button. The only time you ever use the crank is in between kind of like acts as you unlock each dig site. It'll like spin up like a fake newspaper that has a couple headlines about the story events, and you spin the crank to look lower down on the newspaper. But that's the only time I was ever cranking it.
At least you got the opportunity to. Yeah.
Yeah, well, got to stress relief.
I feel like they could have made you use the crank to dig. Right?
I guess so, but I guess maybe they felt like it would take too long, like it'd be too cumbersome. Okay. They just wanted like a quick press, a quick scoop, or put like a mode in there so I can mess around with it and dig a little bit, right? Or like it would have been neat to have like an upgrade that like you dig once and then like you crank and it keeps like like digs multiple layers down or something like that. I don't know. I guess not every game has to use the crank, but at the same time you play a Playdate, I want to spin the little crank, so. This is like me complaining a Wii game doesn't have motion controls, though. Some people are like, shut up.
Yeah. Well, some people are like, thank God.
Yeah, that's true.
Could the crank be simulated with like a mouse scroll wheel in some ways?
It might be. I mean, certainly in this game, yes. Like, there's no reason this game couldn't be ported to PC, and they would just change that one tiny thing to like just tapping down on the D-pad, and it would work perfectly fine. I don't know that they will. Now, I don't know Panic's business practices. Panic is the company that releases the Playdate. I don't know their business practices, if there's any sort of like agreement that people make when they post to their store that the games will be exclusive. But there generally seems to be a desire amongst the developers for the Playdate games to be exclusive. Like, they really don't. I don't think that like the Playdate is ever considered one of the porting options in addition to PC and Switch. I think that people are like enthusiasts about developing for this thing in particular. It reminds me a lot of like the Pico 8 development community, where people just want to design stuff for this specific set of hardware and like have their little experiences, which I kind of respect.
No, yeah, that's super cool.
But yeah, it 100% is a chill out game. I played most of the game while half the game I streamed, and then the other half I played while watching Fextra Life videos about night rain classes, so that I can be better equipped to journey into the lands between with my bros, my bros and my gals. And yeah, it was just a nice time. So, given that, what are your questions, fellas, if any?
I know it's a cozy game where they even say, hey, maybe you don't have to pay 100% attention to this thing, but how's the music? Is there much music in the game, or is it kind of just there?
It's real light and background. I actually don't even know if there is music when you're digging. There's a couple spots for sure, but like they know why you're playing this game. They know what you want. So the music is pretty restrained. They're like, the music is going to be, your episode of Game of Thrones, not our song. So, but there is some in there. It's just, it probably won't show up on IQOST.
Right.
I think that inquiring people may want to know that don't have the system. I know I'm asking maybe a lot of questions about the Playdate, but it is an interesting system.
It is.
For other games, Steve, is there good music for some of these games? Like, is the speaker hardware good enough to put out some stuff, or is it basically a Game Boy? Or
No, it definitely is a nice enough speaker to put out some good soundtracks. So there are some good soundtracks. And there's just a lot of games I find in the Playdate's catalog that have a very satisfying I don't even know the word for it, like sound palette, like a lot of goofy little silly sound effects in Playdate games. Again, I really get the sense that the folks that are developing Playdate games are just having a good time. Like I imagine all of their development just being like chill and fun, and there's like a side project to whatever the main thing they're working on is. Because there are a lot of like bigger name developers that have made or contributed to Playdate games. Like some of the folks from the Katamari Damacy made a game. The creative director did. I think Lucas Pope has made a game on the Playdate. So it's like a fun little side piece for them, and that comes through. So I've always wanted to bring more Playdate games. Realistically, I just haven't been busting it out that much. But season 2 kind of has like me back invigorated, like back in the spirit, and I like the energy of the Playdate quite a bit. So happy to have some. But yeah, I mean, given that, I mean, they basically in their own ad copy say that this is a side quest. Like they come out front and center like, guys, this ain't a core shaker. This one's not blowing your mind. We just want you to chill. We want you to have a good time. And I had 3 hours of a good time. You know, I enjoyed it. I appreciated something to do with my hands alongside what I was watching. And I appreciated that when I was tuned into the game itself, which there were plenty of time, you know, plenty of 20-minute chunks where like my video ended and I just kept like doing my loops and digging. It wasn't like it was boring on its own. That there was like little bits and bobs of story and just a fun general loop to keep me engaged. So, great side quest. I think, you know, a perfect inclusion in this sort of like seasonal release cadence that the Playdate has. And who knows, maybe there'll be more Playdate games coming in the future. But for now, Dig Dino, side quest.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, I will get a Playdate one day. It's just, when is that day? I don't know, but I definitely want to get one and just mess around with it. It just seems so fun to just dive into the, like you said, there's a marketplace too, so it's not just the season. So you can just like even kind of dust off some like really not even known games that one person made, you know, in an afternoon or something. You know, it feels like it just has a bunch of that kind of stuff on it.
Yeah, I have a game on my Playdate that's literally named a joke that you pay 99 cents for. And it's a 99-cent game on their store, and it's just like one silly joke that uses the crank. I'm not going to spoil the joke because, again, that's the whole game. Go pay your 99 cents. Give that developer your money. But yeah, it has a real like itch.io or even like Dreams energy to it, just like a genuinely indie creative output.
That's awesome.
Josh, you may want to get it sooner rather than later. I know we've already talked about price, but there are certain pieces of video game hardware or games where you could just be like, yeah, that's going to be $1,000 in 10 years.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
that's the feeling I get with this one. So
yeah, and maybe it'll be like this year or next year. Like it's not like something I'm putting down, kicking down the street too far, but it's something that is on my radar to get. You know, so
yeah, it's a shame. I imagined at some point it was going to go down in price, but because it launched at $199. But as with like everything, you know, all the major consoles have increased in price in the last couple years. Playdate also had to increase their price by $30 just for component costs. So with how like the global economy has been, I will say that there's probably not a lot of opportunity for the Playdate to get any cheaper anytime soon, which kind of sucks.
That's true. Okay, well, that's an awesome game. Do you want to go first after Seth, or do you want me to go next?
I usually call that second, Josh. Well, you can call it first after if you want to.
First after, and first last.
First after. Yeah.
Final.
You know what I mean? Something like that.
I had to take that jab. I could not let it pass by.
You're fine.
That's funny.
All I'll say, Josh, is I've got quite a meaty game to talk about here. So I don't know what you're bringing, but if we want something meaty, or if you've also got something meaty, then it doesn't matter.
I think mine's about medium. So why do we do small, medium, large? Let's do that. I'll go next. Yep. All right, sounds great. So I brought a brand new game. It came out 2025. Ooh. It's called Wanderstop. Because I had to bring it to the show. It has to be on the quest log. what is Wanderstop? Let's jump right into it. It's a game by Ivy Road. What's the guy's name that from Ivy Road? I closed the tab. Oh my god.
While he's looking that up,
Davey Redden.
Yeah,
Davey Redden.
it's like a
his name.
super group of developers though, because again,
yeah,
there's multiple people in there that have worked on big indie projects that people are aware of.
Yeah, but he's the I guess the gestation for it, the main mind behind it.
Yeah.
I guess he made the Stanley Parable and Beginner's Guide. So this game is a narrative-focused, cozy game about change and tea. That's the main description of the game. I'll start with some presentation of what the game is. The game's beautiful. I'll say the graphics are stunning. It's a looker. It's a third-person cozy tea shop simulator. And with a twist. There's a bit of a twist to it. You can see that in the trailers. When you watch the trailers and they revealed this, they showed you're doing your tea, and then maybe there's something creepy in the woods, or maybe there's something else going on. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what this game is. But yeah, the game looks amazing. You play as a character named Alta, and she is a warrior, and she's worn out. And what she does is she gets basically brought under her. This guy brings her under his wing and says, "Hey, let's teach you how to make some tea." And it's a very cozy life sim. You got. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start with this. There's a lot to this game, actually, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Both of you played this, right?
Yeah.
Steve, you played this?
Yes. Steve played it too. Yeah.
I see her sweeping. Is brooming around a big part of this game?
Brooming around.
Whatever. I clicked on an image of a GIF where she's just randomly sweeping. So I don't know. It's just was interesting, right?
Yeah, I'll get into kind of what the loop is, but that is part of it. I will say a lot of the things in the game, beside making the tea and talking to the characters, is kind of optional, and that's kind of by design a little bit. But yeah, we got the beautiful art style. We got the main loop of making tea. So basically, what the day will look like is you go in and you kind of just you ask the guy what am I supposed to do? He's like, I don't know, just do some stuff, just hang out. And it's kind of just the whole concept of the game is basically recovering from burnout. I'll say that I don't want to spoil too much of what the story really entails, but that's pretty much what it is. And the idea is, just chill. You're here. You can decorate if you want. You can garden a little bit, get some seeds for some tea, or you can go sweep around the lands, or you can just make it look cozy, nice here. You can pick up those little pop-in chicken things. I think they're called pop-ins. They look like little chickens that wander around. You can gather those if you want. But as you're doing that, people will walk up and they'll have an exclamation mark over their head. You go and you talk to them, and there's a story that will unfold about that character. They'll tell you about a little bit about their life. Maybe they have a curse on them, or it's a mystical fantasy setting. So there'll be it's kind of a weird setting where it's fantasy, but there's stop signs and modern day amenities in it too, a little bit in the side, which is pretty fun. But they'll say, okay, yeah, I'm just really tired. I need to have some caffeine today. I need something to wake me up, right? And then you have this book that will have some recipes in it and some seeds that you can grow. And then there's different seedlings that you can grab with different colors like pink, purple, blue. And then by laying them in different patterns, you can basically make an egg, and then you water that egg. And the way you get the water, you have to go to the water spigot, fill up your water, and you have to, grow it. And you can also combine them in different ways. And it's basically experimenting to, there's 2 different patterns, and it makes different types of pods and fruits that you can put in your tea. And then also to make tea, you have to go collect in your basket little tea piles too, and then dry out the tea. And so it's very much like a whole rinse repeat, where you grab you make the tea balls, you figure out what type of fruit needs to go in the tea, and then you have this very elaborate tea machine that you got to go climb a big ladder, pull a lever, fill up this big beaker, and then you have like this little, you know, those like old school fan things for like a fireplace to make the heat go. You got to pump that. You got to drain it down. You got to put the tea leaves in there. You got to put the fruit that you need to make the tea. And then you got to go get the cup, go down below. And it's like a whole very long process, but it's a nice process because there's music playing in the background. I guess I can get to the music a little bit here since it's nice segue. It's by C418. He's the artist. I love his music. I've loved his music since he made the music for Minecraft, but he's made other soundtracks and he has his own personal music. And I feel like he just nails that. I'm just kind of just chilling. It's just a little, and his music has a little bit of a melancholy vibe to it too. So it's kind of like, you know, it's maybe a little sad, but a little happy at the same time. And it's just really nice, cozy music to go along with this type of game. And just a stunning soundtrack. I feel like on its own, we played a track Steve brought one to the OST. A lot of the music sounds a lot like that, and there's a couple more upbeat tracks here and there, but for the most part, you're just gonna like zen out to this just like very like beautiful game with painterly colors with that music playing in the background. So then you deliver the tea, and then they drink the tea, and the story goes a little bit more. And then you take that cup, you put it in this little washing thing, and that cycle just repeats like over and over again. And then there's multiple, like, I guess there's a little bit of story related things about like the seasons. There's kind of like a season system, but there's some story related bits that I won't get into, that why the seasons progress, and and when it goes to a new season, everything kind of resets and then you do it all again. So any questions so far?
Not a question, but I will say one of the things I like about that loop, right? So, like you mentioned, folks will make requests, and then you'll look up in that almost recipe book to find like the right plants to grow that line up. And sometimes it's like Josh said, it's really clear where they say, I need to pick me up, and you look and this plant says it's caffeinated, and you're like, okay, boom, that's the right one. But sometimes it's less direct. Sometimes it's more like someone will be like, work has just been absolutely stressing me out lately. Every time I think about, the report I need to give to my boss next week, I almost have a panic attack. I just want to not think about this for a little bit. And then you'll be looking through your book, and one of the plants might have a description, like it's 3 descriptive bullet points, might be like, caffeinated, smells like cinnamon, forces the user to think about their best childhood memory. And so you're like, okay, well, if I brew this plant, he's going to be thinking something nostalgic. He's not going to be thinking about work anymore. And that might work. But there might also be other plants that meet that character's same criteria. So it's very often left open-ended, and there's like almost a little puzzle element to it in that regard.
Is there like a grading system for how well you matched up the tea to the person? Or do you ever even see that person again if they're happy or sad? Or...
Hard question to answer without spoiling too much.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
Okay.
I will say there's no grading system. There's very intentionally no grading system. And a lot of times, I think the game is pretty broad about like what they'll accept. Usually you'll make something and the person will accept it. But even if they don't, and they're like, this is not what I want, make me another cup of tea, that might feel frustrating in that moment. But like another big theme of this, it's kind of tied to what Josh said about burnout. A big like lesson that this game wants you to take to heart is to just enjoy the journey, like relax and like almost like mindfulness, like give up your expectation, right? Like don't be frustrated that this person, that now you have to go remake the tea. Just enjoy the process of making the next cup of tea and see if that's what they want. And the game is so focused on that. There will be times where you will have like satisfied all the patrons' requests, and you'll go talk to Boro, who's like the tea shop owner. All-star character, by the way, like a 10 out of 10
He's
character.
amazing.
And the main character, she will ask like, what do I do? Like, what should I do now? There's no one here to give any tea to. Like, how can I, work on myself if there's no actions for me to take? And Boro will literally be like, yeah, man, sometimes in life there's nothing to do. You just vibe. You could go redecorate. You could plant some plants if you want to. Like, you could just sit on a bench and chill. Like, life's about the journey, man. Enjoy enjoy relaxing for relaxing's sake. So
yeah. There's even a part where you like learn about the camera. It's kind of like a mini tutorial. He's like, you can grab the camera, take some pictures, and there's a bunch of picture frames around. So, and those actually will last between seasons. So if you want to capture a moment from this season, go ahead. They don't really label it as seasons, but that's basically what they are. But yeah, that part's really nice, and I like this, that there is a story. So the thing about this game, when you play a cozy game or like a life sim game, a lot of times you're like, there's usually no beginning, middle. There's a beginning and middle, but then once you hit that middle, that's the rest of the game. You just play that in eternity, and you never stop, right? This has a linear story that has a beginning, middle, and end with like a conclusion and everything. It's about, I guess it really depends on how long the journey is for you. It took me about 12 hours, but I'm sure it takes other people less and some people way more if they want to spend that time in that world a little bit longer. But yeah, it tells a really nice story. Like it has a really nice resolution, and it was actually very touching. I'll say this has a very beautiful, like just, I don't know. It just makes you feel good. Like this game is all about feeling good, including the story. So, I love the characters. There's so many memorable characters. Like I can think back to it. There's there's so many memorable characters, but I don't want to talk about them because it's more fun to experience them and talk to them and learn about their stories as you're, in this world.
I'll just tell the story. I will say that I agree with everything Josh says. And I'll tell the story that sort of explains my journey through this game, because I do think that this game is very, its themes very resonant with me. I think a lot of people out there will have something to take away from this game. It wears its themes on its sleeve very heavily. But when I first started, the first couple of hours I was playing it, and I was feeling friction, where I was like, this is kind of boring. There's nothing to do. I'm not appreciating it. And I understood what the game was asking me to say. I understood that the game was saying hey man, relax, but I still was feeling I'm not enjoying this. And I actually went into our friend of the show, Gaming in the Wild's Discord, and I was posting guys, I understand that the game wants me to unwind, but I think I'm still bored, and I think I still don't like this game. And it was actually our guest from last episode, Dave Jackson, came in there and he says, sounds like somebody needs to pay a little, or needs to absorb the lesson that Boro is trying to tell you. And I was just kind of yeah, okay, all right. Some games are just boring, even if they're trying to tell you to chill. But as I kept playing, legitimately, whatever secret sauce they have in that game, I really started to connect with what they wanted me to do. And there was a moment very late in the game where I was asked to make a pretty complicated tea. Some of the later ones will necessitate 4 different specifically crossbred plants with some other ingredient all together. And I spent 15 minutes making this elaborate cup of tea. Got it there. I needed 2 cups of tea. So I made the cup of tea. It took me 15 minutes. I set it on the table next to me. Went to start work on the second cup of tea. Look back over, and one of those puffin things that Josh said wandered into the tea shop, grabbed the cup of tea, and drank it in front of me. And rather than get pissed, where I would 100% at the start of the game would have gotten pissed, I just laughed. I was just hey man, I'll just make another cup of tea. It's not that big of a deal. So I really respected the game for that.
Yeah, and it's they don't put time restrictions on it too. It's you could. So for me, the order operations I would usually do is there's 2 or 3 exclamation points. I'll just go talk to everybody, kind of knock out the checklist, and those will just be sitting there, and then I can just start working on the garden. It's okay, I know this person I need a bunch of blue seeds because these three people all have things that have blue seeds, fruits that grow from blue seeds. Okay, so let's go grow some blue seeds. I'll grab some of those, and you can make a mini version of them that grows the little seed pods. So you do a mini version, get the seed pods as much as you need, and then make the bigger plants. And so so that's pretty much what I would do there. And then it's just it's a nice loop too. It's once that loop's done, you're okay, well, I completed it, and then now what? And you're okay, well, there's a bunch of leaf piles. You know what? The music's kicking in. Let's go sweep a little bit. Okay. I see some hanging plants over there. I can change those out for mushrooms. There's mushrooms that grow that that will basically change the plants a little bit. They like so like when you grow the big like fruit plants, you can like put shrinking mushrooms to fit them in a little pot, you know. So I would do that a couple times. I would shrink them up and just like kind of put them inside just to make it look nice inside. Things like that. Very much a game where, you know, you kind of just turn your brain off a little bit and just enjoy it. Like Steve was saying, it's very much the themes and
they Drachma, for you in particular, and you know, for any of our trophy perverts out there, they're so dedicated to that like theming of detach yourself from like, don't be so task oriented, don't always just want to do the next checklist thing. Like they're so like they so badly want to reinforce like you just have to enjoy the journey, just relax and do whatever you want, that the game has 12 trophies, I think, and they pop 100% arbitrarily. Like people have not been able to figure out how. It's not story events, it's not tied to actions that you take. It's just literally the game will every 30 to 60 minutes out of nowhere, when you're doing something, when you're in the middle of something, it'll just pop a trophy. And so like they clearly are trying to be like, don't even try to get the trophies, man. They'll pop as you just do your thing. Wow. Stop thinking about it.
Yeah, I have 100% achievements on that game. Yeah. Yep. So,
is there a description with the trophies though?
There is. It's like a vague like riddle almost. Like it really, there's no description that ties to any action. And I don't think that there is any activity, because it's like it would pop truly in the middle of something where I
just anything.
My my trophy brain churns where a trophy pops and I'm like, was that did I just make my 50th cup of tea? You know, did I just wash 100 dishes? But no, it would be like I would be moving some plants around, and then I'd be like running back into the hut to go like grab a book, and halfway to running back to the hut, just a random trophy called like the reason for all that is would pop, and I'd be like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
This game, I expected to go into it, get a cozy game, and have like some like honestly, from the trailers, I really thought there was going to be some horror elements to this. I will say there's not really horror elements. It's not really what the aim is. There are some like darker themes, I'll say, but it's nothing that there's no jump scares. You're not going to get scared by this. But as I'm playing the game and as I'm experiencing the story, I started just to fall in love with the characters and fall in love with what the message was that they were trying to tell. And by the end of it, honestly, this is going to be like up there for me as one of my favorite like cozy games ever, like, and maybe one of my favorites this year, because like they tell the story so well. They had like this image of this game in their mind, and they completely perfectly like portray it on the screen. Like there's nothing I would change about this game, and I don't know how they pull it off to where, like Steve said, there are times where I should be bored, but I'm just chilling. Like I'm just vibing. Like I don't know how they pull it off. And by the time when you naturally feel like, okay, what's next? There's another character coming down the lane with an exclamation point to do that next cup of tea. I feel like they time it just perfectly. Like I don't know how they do it every single time, but without fail, the moment I thought, man, maybe I should play something else, or maybe I should turn this off for the night, they have something that happens to where it just keeps me going and keeps me invested in the story, which is really awesome.
Is there ever like a busy time, like where you have a backup at the tea store or whatever, where you have several that you have to do in a row?
Yeah, I would say so. Like somewhat. But there's no timers on any of them.
Right.
So like these characters can, you can just pick one of the exclamation points, talk to that one character, knock out their objective, whatever it is, have that conversation, and then go to the next one if you want to. Or you can do all three at the same time, which I tended to do. It really depends on how you want to play the game on that level. But if you want to make it to where it's like, okay, I have to do 5 cups of cups of tea in a row. I almost said coffee in a row. Which, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Cups of tea in a row. You can do that. But if you want to just do, okay, I'm going to do a cup of tea, and then I want to do some things around the garden, you can do that, you know. So it's really up to you. And by design and by, the themes in the story, it makes a lot of sense.
So in theory, you can just never make tea.
Well, you would never progress the storyline.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's not so meta in its own objectives that you can ignore playing the game.
Everything.
I mean, you can, and Boro would honestly probably respect you for it, but the story wouldn't progress.
Yeah, man, you're not losing your job. You're good. I mean,
You're fine.
I know that people are piling up out there, but hey, just do you.
Yeah, you're good, man. You're fine. Yeah. There's kind of I'll say there's kind of like this clearing where the tea shop is. It's kind of like a place at a time. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But so it's like the timeline of everything is kind of weird and kind of funny. So it's not gonna matter really when it comes down to it. And Boro will say that when you talk to him. So he's like, yeah, time's kind of funky here. I don't know why, but it is. So don't worry about it. So yeah. But I'll summarize everything. My final thoughts here. But do you guys have any questions before I do?
Okay.
No.
All right. Awesome. So this game is, to me, a game I could recommend to anybody. I feel like anybody's gonna get a lot out of it. Especially people who work a lot of hours, like I know we all do. Like we're busy people are gonna see a lot of themselves in this game. I feel like the people that make this game are people that work a lot and work hard and experience burnout, just like most people tend to do. So this game is really good at taking a second to, you guys are talking about Elden Ring Night Rain, right? This is like the opposite of that in a lot of ways. Like that's like, okay, you gotta coordinate with 3 people, you gotta kill all these bosses, you gotta, all the stuff, or 2 people. It's a 3-person game, but you know what I mean. It's like super intense. Like this is like, you got to be on point. This one's like the opposite of the opposite. It's like, hey, just kick back, make some tea, talk to some funny people and some nice folks that maybe have something they got to get off their back, and just enjoy the journey. And then by the time you're done, Alta's storyline that she experienced throughout the story is very beautiful. I think they tell it really well, and it's worth experiencing. So this game is, with a bullet, a banger. It's a main quest game, and I think this is going to be one of the best games of the year for me. And honestly, it's the perfect distillation of a cozy game. If you guys are like curious about a cozy game and you've never really played one, this is the one to jump in. Like, period, no full stop. This one, or like Stardew, but like I feel like that would be on the tip of my tongue before Stardew, because it has that ending. You can be like, okay, yeah, this is like 10 to 12 hours. Enjoy it. And you can see if cozy games are for you too. So nice entry point into the genre.
Yes.
You were talking about, we're all busy, and that's totally true, right? But sometimes, even when I'm not busy and I don't need to be busy, I find things to busy myself. So something like this would probably help a lot with that.
This
right?
game,
like where it's
yes,
like, I feel bad about not doing something, like that's just, as adults, that's just how we feel, right? Like I could definitely be doing, like, there are things around the house that I should do, and I feel bad about sitting here, right? But probably something that I should check out before year's end, or sooner rather than later.
You should. This game holds a mirror up to that exact impulse. And separately but related, we all kind of move at a certain clip because we want to bring a new game every 2 weeks. I'm also on Polykill, where like there's a certain motivation to finish games, to have stuff to talk about. This game is also challenging that. It's like, dude, sometimes it's okay to just do what you're doing, right? Like, don't worry about like hitting the credits and moving on to the next thing. Like, just soak in it. Yeah. So yeah, this is like hyperbolic to say, like, this sounds dramatic, but I think Wanderstop genuinely made me a better, more attentive person. Like, I think it actually made me a little more reflective in my day-to-day life, which is hard for a game to impact you personally in that kind of way.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And I do honestly, and this is just the developers, I feel like has a little bit of commentary on the get good culture in video games too, a little bit. I feel like that's a little bit of that energy too, because the main character is basically like protagonist number 1 from like a action adventure game, pretty much. Right. And she's just smack dab into a cozy game, that's like completely opposite of what she's used to. And then like, so people who are used to that, like action adventure, like Souls-like or roguelike, whatever, like something that's like takes so much energy. This is like gonna feel like a breath of fresh air, just like the main character. So you probably relate on that front too, from like a gameplay standpoint, which is kind of cool. So I feel like it works on a lot of layers. It's just an excellent game. I really think that Steve was like in my DMs like, hell yeah, you're finally playing it when he saw me playing it, because I feel like you knew it was gonna hit with me.
I knew
so,
you would like it a lot.
Yeah. So it really did. It really resonated. And I think anybody who gives it a shot will find something to latch onto. So check it out. If it wasn't on your radar, I hope it is now.
Banger. Thanks for bringing it, Josh. So last episode I had notes for this and Blueprints written up, and I brought Blueprints instead. And then this time I gambled and won because I still had my Wanderstop notes, but also my Dig Dino notes. I was like, I think Josh might bring Wanderstop. So
yeah. I was playing the other game I was thinking about, which it's a good game, was Skin Deep, because I just finished that recently. But maybe another episode. But yeah, this one I just had to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Your turn.
Well, I believe there's no one else. I'm looking around. There's nobody else. So I think it's my turn.
Time for the final first person to go.
The third first, yes. All right. So I played a new game as well. A game that I don't know is on either of your like radar in terms of, I need to play that. I need to get around to that. But it might be after this discussion. I assume you've both heard of it, though, because it is not a massive deal. It's no Claire Obscure Expedition 33, but it is, in the indie space, a pretty big deal. So, I played Promise Mascot Agency.
Yep,
I assume,
I've heard of it.
I am so happy you brought this, because I've heard the name a bunch of times out of mouths that I respect, and I have not even looked up what the game is yet. Just in the back of my mind, I was like, I should probably figure out what the hell this game is about.
Yeah.
And here you are to teach me. Let's go.
Here I am to attempt to teach you, because this game embraces the weird, and we will absolutely get into why. It is unique. It is very unique experience.
Every screenshot on the Steam page is from a different game, I think. Like, what the hell? What am I looking at? Okay, all right.
I know. It's wild. All right. So, Promise Mascot Agency released this year, April 10th, 2025. It was developed by Kaizen Gameworks, and that might be recognizable for some folks because they are the same people who made Paradise Killer. And that is a game that is actually on the quest log. It was brought not by any of us, but Pam, before I was even on the show. Yeah. Brought Paradise Killer. So definitely has some good roots, I suppose. And I think that's probably why there's a decent chunk of people playing this game purely because of that. And then, of course, there's probably new people like me. I've never played Paradise Killer. It came out on Xbox, PS5, PC, and Switch. So if you want to play Promise Mascot Agency after I get done talking about it, you probably have a console to do it if you're listening to an indie game podcast. Unless you have only a play date, and then you're eating good with Steve's ring. Could you imagine the person who only owns a play date? There are probably people out there, but
every developer responding on Blue Sky, when's the play date port?
Yeah, right. All right, so this might be my favorite. So any new people out there, first of all, welcome. Second of all, every time I ever start talking about a game, I give an overview, which is generally just genre soup, right? I'll say every little genre that was going on in this game. But Promise Mascot Agency might be my favorite one ever because it is just insane. So it is an open world truck driving business management card battler.
Okay.
Literally all of those things are in this game. And that doesn't even get into the fact that it is business management, but you are literally managing a mascot agency. When I say mascot, think the elephant that runs onto the field when the Alabama Crimson Tide play their football games. Like that, you know, my mascot is Brutus, the Buckeye in Ohio State. But that's what I'm saying, like mascots, like people in suits. But in this world, mascots are literally a living entity that just lives alongside humans, and in the world, it makes complete sense. Like this game gets pretty raunchy at times. It is certainly not a game that I would recommend anybody certainly not under a teenager should play, but even once you're in teenage years, like it's a very adult game at times. But there are references in this game where mascots and people get together, if you know what I mean. So it is very much a blended world in that way, and I suppose that there's kind of a message there too, in terms of like how our world is today, right? Mm-hmm. But before we get into any of that stuff, let's talk about the way this game looks. And you guys are looking at screenshots. I feel like at first I was like, this is almost like a PS 2.5 feel, but then as I played more and more of this game, it gives me very much like a PS3 feel. Like it's good enough, like it's better than Dark Cloud 2. Like that's kind of my comparison for it or something like that. But it's certainly not like PS4 when we started thinking things were cutting edge. Like you can see the angularity when you're looking at different buildings and plants and even the characters.
I would say that this game looks like it came out on what I imagine the Dreamcast 2 would have looked like.
Yes.
Oh my god.
This is a Dreamcast 2 game.
It's giving me I don't know if you guys know much about this game, but Deadly Premonition vibes a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of gives that energy. So that's what I first saw when I saw the screenshots. So
I love that devs are like this is such a strange place because now people are nostalgic for like the N64 and they want that weird polygonal look. But the fact that you're just putting out a game that looks like it came out in 2010, 15 years later is just kind of crazy time. But that is nostalgic for people now. Like Xbox 360 is nostalgic for people, and they want their games to not look so pretty, but still look quite pretty. Like it's that weird area.
That's true.
And on top of that, there's also what they call like a 90s TV filter over this. You can turn it off, so you don't have to have it on, but it gives it like this weird fuzziness. It's hard to describe, and it's probably hard to see in a lot of the screenshots. You almost have to see gameplay in order to see it. But there's just like this weird filter over top of whatever you're doing all the time that kind of gives it that retro feel, but not going so far as to like put fake scan lines in or something like that, right? It just gives it that little bit of almost early HD TV fuzziness, right? Like before, like plasma screen, right? Plasma screen fuzziness or something like that. So hilarious part of this game, and I've already mentioned it, is the fact that mascots and people are just living together. So a huge part of what you're looking at all the time on screen are people and mascots just standing together talking to each other like it's no big deal. It's like it's just an average Tuesday. It takes some time to like get used to that. It seems so goofy and outlandish that it's hard to, at least initially, put yourself, like you want to be able to put yourself in the character's shoes, right? And feel like you can relate in that way. So it's kind of hard. It almost reminded me of when I make a character in an Elder Scrolls game or in a Dark Souls game, and I make my character look like insane, right? I make my character green with huge bug eyes or toss huge goofy sunglasses on them, and then you see them in a cutscene, and it's like, oh, that doesn't look right? You were just going for the funny thing. Well, that's what Promise Mascot Agency does all the time. It wants everything to look goofy like that. And I think a huge part of the reasoning behind it is because this game is extremely, and this is no slight, like this is something that is like, I love this, extremely Japanese. Because, lots of like Japanese game shows are just like goofy and outlandish, and, there's buzzers going off all over the place and people are laughing and you don't know what's going on and it's almost become a trope. Well, this game almost captures that in a lot of ways and like really tries to drive that point home to the point where this game was developed by Kaizen Gameworks, who is a UK-based dev. They made a inherently Japanese game with I'm sure they had I know for a fact they had a lot of Japanese people helping them because they went so far as to hire all Japanese voice actors. So it is like you're watching a subbed anime. It's kind of wild, and for me, I'm a huge anime lover, and actually I go back and forth, but I generally, and this might be blasphemous to certain people, but I generally prefer a dub over a sub because sometimes I'm doing other things. We're talking about busyness, right? If I'm doing laundry and I want to watch an anime on my phone, I don't want to constantly have to read, right? If I'm folding clothes, like I want to be able to look down and still be able to listen and know what's going on, right? So just a personal preference, but it is very interesting in this game that you constantly hear the voice actors and they're all in Japanese, and just knowing the origin of it is just so crazy to me. But I will get into more of the audio stuff in a moment. Before that, the HUD of this game. So that's massive in what it looks like and what you're constantly looking at. So on the screen at all times, you can see how much total yen you have. You can see a mini map of where you can go. You can see all of your job availability. You can see your current quests, and you can ask Pinky, which we will get into Pinky in a moment. But Pinky is like the main mascot, and she's literally a cut off pinky finger. It's wild. All the mascots in this town are kind of like rejected mascots from other places, and that kind of goes a lot into what the story is, right? But the HUD is super clean, super clear. I would say it maybe is a little cluttered at first. It's like, man, there's a lot going on. Like, it's kind of sensory overload. I'm looking at so much stuff all the time. I almost want to turn it off just because it is a very pretty game for what it's going for. But it is all very purposeful. Like, you want to see that stuff. You want to be able to know exactly what's going on with your mascots. You want to know where your money's at, especially at certain parts of the game. And we'll get into a lot of that shortly. But music. My first bullet point is all bangers. Just
let's go.
Incredible soundtrack. So much so that I've got a Tuesday night game group where lately we've been playing Magic the Gathering, but we also play a whole bunch of other stuff. But one of our mutual friends, Petey Puff, Michelle, I mentioned that I was playing this game, and she said, "Oh, I actually bought the vinyl for that game. I know nothing about it, but I heard that the soundtrack is amazing." I'm like, it is amazing. So that's probably a good vinyl dub.
That's fun. Nice.
But I mean, play the game. Certainly play the game.
Yeah.
But it is a great, and honestly, I can't even pinpoint a music genre. It goes all over the place. I think it's similar to Paradise Killer in that way. But it's rock, it's jazz, it's like classical Japanese sometimes. I mean, it's just all over the place, but for the most part, all the music is super good. And in general, there are some like more tense songs when tense things are happening on screen, but a lot of times you're just driving the truck around. And so it's almost like you're listening to the radio in an open world game like you do in like Grand Theft Auto Vice City or something. It's just, for the most part, most of the tunes don't have words, although some do. But yeah, it's just kind of chill sometimes, kind of banging sometimes, and it's just, all good. I very much enjoy it. The Japanese voice acting is also excellent, like incredible, really, really good. I could see people getting annoyed, and I say this because I actually talked to a little bit to our friend Pam, who brought Paradise Killer, and asked if she was going to play this game, and mostly out of selfish reasons because I wanted to just plug this right into the review or play a game that cannot be tamed reviewed on for Polykill Bingo. But yeah, if she doesn't play it, this game checks so many boxes. But she said that it annoyed her a little bit. The mascot's voices annoyed her a little bit. I think anybody out there that listens to anime subbed at all probably wouldn't have that problem so much. But yes, some of the mascots can have like, I assume she's referring to Pinky because you hear Pinky all the time. And her voice can be quite shrill at times. She gets very excited. And, of course, it's in Japanese, so you don't really know what she's saying other than reading. But I personally think that especially over the course of the game, I literally did not notice it at all after a certain point. I thought the voice acting was really good and kind of delivers exactly what I believe the devs were going for. That will bring me to the story. So this game's kind of hard to talk about when it comes to story because a lot happens. You don't really want to know. No one out there is going to want to know what's going on truly. So I'll touch on like the surface layer of why you're here or the things you kind of learn at the beginning of the game. And then lots of this gets solved, of course, as the game goes on. But you play as a character named Michizane, and everyone just calls him Michi, like Michi. He is also known as the janitor, and that's important. And it's funny, Josh, I forgot to segue earlier, but I was going to say, speaking of sweeping, he is the janitor. He literally carries a broom around with him everywhere he goes, which is kind of funny, like why, but at the same time is what it is. And like the background behind that is he was kind of brought into this this group, this organization that he's a part of to as a young kid when he was very brash and didn't know what he was doing and was getting in trouble all the time. He was brought in to kind of get himself figured out, but then also he morphed into this person who knows how to take care of things, right? He can clean messes up, so that's why he always carries a broom. And a big part of this, and not spoiler territory at all because you learn it in the first 2 minutes, Michi and everybody, or lots of the people in this game that he reports up to, they are Yakuza, right? So Yakuza, for anybody out there who's either not played a Yakuza game or just doesn't know what a Yakuza is, basically Japanese mobsters, right? They are Japanese gang members generally. And you can usually tell, like in Japan, tattoos are very much like a taboo. They have been here in the past, but are very much accepted now. But in Japan are still very much, if you have tattoos, you are, or you could be a Yakuza, right? So Michi has all these tattoos going down his arms, on his back, so you can tell he's definitely a Yakuza. And that is kind of what gets him into the situation he's in. So at the very beginning of this game, you find out he's supposed to go and deliver something with one of his family members, his oath brother, and bad things happen and they get in trouble and he makes a decision. Things go south, of course, and then basically what ends up happening is he doesn't get excommunicated from the family. He gets put into this place called Kasomachi. That's the town you play in. And he is put there because it's kind of a punishment. That town, for whatever reason, that town is cursed against Yakuza men. So Yakuza men go there and they die, and no one knows why. But it's the curse that has happened for years and years. You learn much more about this curse as you play the game. But so it's like almost like a death sentence. Like he's like, okay, I screwed up, kill me, like because that's just the way of the Yakuza, right? The way of a lot of mobs, and especially mobs that we've learned about in this country in the 40s, 50s, 60s, stuff like that. Like you screw up, you're probably dead. And he felt that was probably his fate. He screwed up and he was willing to accept, but they pushed him to this cursed town as almost like a fate worse than death and said, you're going to have to make up money. We need money. So you're going to go there and you're going to revitalize the mascot agency that we had there. You're going to go there and manage a mascot agency. That's what we need you to do. And so, Michi, you go to this town and you start to gather mascots together and create this agency. And that's kind of where it takes you now. The agency itself doesn't impact the story incredibly, although a lot of the characters are, it's almost like in any open world game, so many side quests, but oftentimes the side quests are just as good as the main quests in those games, right? And that's how very much how this game feels. So very worth experiencing. I will say right now, I did not anticipate this happening because I was like, I enjoyed the story quite a lot, and I knew that I enjoyed the characters, right? But there's a point in the story towards the end where I was completely caught off guard and was tearing up. I could not believe it. You're looking at all these goofy characters all the time that you don't think that you have real connections with them until it hits you, and you do. So it did a number on me. I will say that. Before we move on to, what everybody wants to know, and that's what are you doing in this game? I will say this game is quite chatty. You don't have to listen to it all, and I will be completely honest. Not a huge chunk of this game was I skipping through, but there were times, especially once I'm 3/4 of the way into it, I'm 15 hours into it, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get certain things. I'm going to click through some of this dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read everything from every mascot because I need to get this game done with, right? So if you're not into reading a whole lot, then maybe this game isn't for you. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense that it is as chatty as it is. Games like this just are sometimes. It's not like this is just a 3D platformer where you have to read for half the time or anything like that. It's an open world game with a involved story, so it makes sense to read. But any questions before I get on to the gameplay?
No, because my main question is how the hell is this a card battler? Like, it doesn't make any.
Yeah,
my
I was
brain
thinking
can't comprehend it.
Yeah, it sounds more like a open world, delivery game or something more than a card battle or whatever.
So it is that. I will start with the open world because I think that is the easiest thing to understand for the majority of people out there, right? Everybody's played an open world game. So the open world section is even the open world section is kind of weird because things don't go the way you think they're going to. So you drive a K truck, right? So I don't know if anybody's ever out there has looked up a K truck or understands what a K truck is, but a K truck is basically a mini truck where in general, if anybody out there has seen old cab over semis, right? They have the front is all flat, or buses can be that way, right? Where the front is flat, the driver basically sits on top of the engine. That is how a K truck is, except for they're very, very small and made for Japan, right? Japan's a highly populated area, especially in big cities like Tokyo. So those small trucks make a lot more sense to move around those cities. That is what you drive in this game. And that is, when you're in the open world, that is literally all you can do. You cannot get out of the truck, which was a shock to me. I thought that, it's an open world game. I'm playing as Mitchie and I'm going to be able to get out of this truck and go talk to people and pick things up. But no, your character is the truck. You're always driving the truck. That's all you do. So when you go to somebody to actually talk to an NPC, you drive up to them, you click on them, and then they show like a cutscene of you and Pinky getting out of the truck and going to talk to these people. And that's it. So that was a little bit of a shock to me. It's very much a driving game. That's all you ever really do is drive that truck. But after the first hour of being a little disappointed that I wasn't walking anywhere, I got used to it. And then I got to the point where you eventually get upgrades for this truck. You can boost it, you can drift. Then you get a lot of upgrades beyond that. For example, there's a lot of waterways, and at first you can crash in the water. You can literally crash anywhere and nothing really happens. And it's funny because Pinky is in the bed of the truck at all times. So it does, but she doesn't fall out or anything. Nothing happens. She just makes a aha, when you crash it down a mountainside or whatever. But you can go literally anywhere in this truck. If there is a part of this map that you see, you can go to it in this truck. You might not be able to get there very easily now, like at the beginning of the game, but you will eventually be able to get there. And even at the beginning of the game, if you try hard enough, you can get. I mean, you can go near vertical in this truck up a mountainside.
I love
it.
That.
Is wild and kind
it.
of awesome. Yeah, it's. I love it too.
I think physics.
Yes, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The truck should fall off, obviously, and roll down the hill, but that just doesn't happen. It's like your tires are sticky to the side of the mountain, and you're just you go super slow. You are driving like 1 mile an hour up this mountain, or since we're in Japan, 2 kilometers an hour up this mountain. And you're just like hugging it, and like sometimes you can like start going sideways a little bit and just do a zigzag all the way up, shimmy your way up. Eventually, you get. I don't want to spoil it for anyone because it's later on, but the truck gets so many upgrades where you can pretty much do whatever you want with that truck. It's I almost have to spoil it because I need to talk about how this part made me feel. Eventually, you can get a glider attachment that goes onto the truck.
They do show that in in the trailer, so you're not giving.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And when I tell you it's literally a blocky truck, but it is one of the best feeling flight sims, I suppose, third-person flight sims, Ace Combat style, that I have ever felt in a game. It's incredible. There's a fast travel system later on in the game, and sometimes I just be like, nah, I'm not going that far. I'm just gonna fly there. I would just float around this amazing looking island, and I felt like I had total control. Although but it is kind of hard too, right? You can start to turn too much where the wings go down, and then the wind starts to take you down, and you start to dive. So it feels realistic. It feels like there were times when I would make like a landing on some place that was really precarious, and I would feel super sweet about doing it. So it's a very cool driving, flying, motor boating game. Like just in that stuff, without all the other stuff that this game does. Like it feels really cool to control the open world. Now on to the business management side. So you are managing a mascot agency. Your whole goal is to, in theory, make 12 billion yen, which you learn very quickly early on. It's like, wow, that would take forever based on what I'm currently making. So the main premise of the game is to send your mascots on jobs, right? So you talk to NPCs as you go through the game, and they give you more and more jobs to do. As you do like side quests for them and get them things they need. You can collect all sorts of stuff all over the world, right? Once you start sending these mascots on jobs, they will then bring back so much money depending on how much they made. But there is so much that goes into the before and after the job. So you select the job, you pick a mascot, then you can have a mascot help item that will actually help them get through the job without failure. If they do fail, something else comes that you'll have to do, which is a massive chunk of the game, which I will touch on in a little bit, so I'm not confusing anyone. But then once they succeed, or if they fail, they lose a little bit of money. But once they come back, they give you the money. And then before any of that, once you hire a mascot, you can select like, am I going to give you a 5% share of the profits? Am I going to give you a 10% share of the profits? Am I going to give you a bonus every couple days? Am I going to do a job review with you every couple days? Am I going to give you time off? Like it's like you have actual employees, and there's like a meter that goes up and down depending on what you choose. So it's like how happy do you want your mascots to be type of thing, and they perform better if they're happy, and they get you more fans if they're happy, and you want more fans because that gets you more jobs, and it's that loop. So it's a delicate balance though, because early on you have practically no money. So if you're giving your mascots a whole bunch of bonuses and extra money, then you're not making anything. So it very much feels like you are managing an actual agency, or, you have employees, and it's that delicate balance. I've been a boss, but I've never been a boss in the terms of I have to manage the financials of my employees. It really gives that like backdoor view of how difficult it is to make that balance and continue to run the business. Because if you screw up and you give your employees too much, then you're going to be in the red, and that's going to be bad. Like there were several times when I was in the red. There's a specific time where your boss, your mother, right, is struggling back home, and you have to start sending her money, and there's like a meter that goes down, and if it gets all the way down, then the game ends. It's kind of a time management thing where it was a little hairy for a little while there, where I was like, oh my gosh, you're kind of stressed. So it's almost the opposite of Wanderstop in that way. And especially for an open world game where it's like ADHD crack, man, where it's like everywhere I look is something to touch and something to pick up and something to go do something else. But I have to focus my mind a little bit and make sure I'm focusing on the business and making the money so that I can then, reinvest it back into the business and do more. And it sounds super complex, and it is kind of initially complex. But the good thing is you only start out with so many mascots, and as your agency's fame goes up, then you can get more and more mascots. But once you get all the more mascots, you're in at least I was in a more comfortable place with like the money situation. So now I'm just making bank all the time, and I get past that threshold of worrying if I'm ever going to make it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm worrying about, am I saving enough? Am I going to save, literally saving the game enough so I don't brick it, and it kind of tells you when you find out about the meter and like the timing aspect, it tells you we're going to be auto saving for you. So if you do lose, you should be able to go back to a previous auto save and be okay. So that's good, at least.
That's nice.
But I didn't want to have to do that. And there were a few times where I never did actually get a game over, but there were a few times where that was really close. I was not sending enough money to get that meter to move up much. So, but you quickly get past it. So You also get passive income eventually, so you can do town improvements, but you're paying out of your pocket because there's a corrupt mayor. Like, that's a whole other thing. But the town itself is kind of run down. So you have to pay out of your own pocket to improve the town. You have to pay out of your own pocket to improve the agency. But all that stuff pays dividends, because if you pay it up front, then every day you're getting a percentage of what you paid back into your pocket, right? So then once you do that enough times, it's all this passive income. You can get subcontractors, which is like mascots in other towns that you can assign jobs to, and they just like passively send you money as they complete those jobs. So that's nice. It's initially quite stressful, but once you get in the rhythm of it, it's honestly pretty fun. And especially once you see that yen amount going up much higher every day, it's like, I'm successful. It makes you feel good that you are running a successful business. So
I know that's that feeling from other games with like management, property aspects and stuff. So
totally. All right. If there's like huge Promise Mascot agency fans out there, I'm so sorry if I'm missing things, because I am 100% sure I am. There's just so much to cover. But we're going to go on to what I think is the third section of like what you do in this game, and that is the card battling. So I mentioned earlier, sometimes mascots, when they go to a job, they're going to have an issue, right, where they need assistance. So all the NPCs, or practically all the NPCs that you meet, have these things called hero cards, and they give them to you, and they have like, it's almost like a card that you can get out of a pack of Pokemon or something like that, right? They've got several different stats on them, 5 different like actual like attacking stats, and each of those only applies to the situation that the mascot is in. So if there is 20 for yellow, and you go to a fight, or you go to help a mascot that's on a pink job, the 20 yellow does not help towards that pink number at the meter at the top. It's only the yellow or the pink portion of that card. So some cards are really weak in pink, and some cards are really strong in pink. So there's that balance. At the beginning of every time you actually go and help the mascots, you only get 5 cards, but you can mulligan, right? So if you're like, that was a bad hand for this, you can send it back. At the top, like I said, there's a meter that goes up to some number. As the dollar amount gets higher for what you're actually making on the jobs, that number goes up. But at the beginning, it's like 20, right? You've got 20 points that you have to wear down. The mascot themselves can put so much into that. So the mascots are also have certain attributes that attribute to that number. So they might knock off 4 or something, right, for that example. So you've got 16 left to go, and so hopefully you have cards that can get it done. Initially in these battles, you have 2 actions, and each card takes at least 1 action, but then some cards can take maybe one action, but they actually give 2 actions back. So you're netting an action. Some cards take 2 actions and don't give you anything, but they're extremely strong, right? Like that's that balance where your whole goal it's just math, really. How much do I have left? I have 10 left, and I have 3 cards. I have 2 actions. I need to figure out. You've got 60 seconds to do these battles too, the timer. But I don't think that I ever made it below 30 seconds in a single battle. Like it is not hard. It's like if you can't do math at all, then you might struggle. But it's not hard. But if I've got 10 left and I've got 3 cards and 2 of them say 8 and they take 1 action, I got 2 actions left, and I just click the 8 action. Now I'm down to 1 action. As long as I have another card that just has a 2 and 1 action, I'm good, right? As you play the game and do things for NPCs, get items for them, they will upgrade their hero cards. So you get better and better and better cards. So it's almost like you're collecting cards, you're collecting music CDs, you're collecting. There's like sort of light spoiler territory stuff that you get later on in the game where once you've gone through the entire map, you think you've collected practically everything, and then there's a new thing to collect. And now you got to go back and you got to scour the map again. I didn't really touch on that, but the map itself has like little dots that shows you where everything, where you don't know what's there, but you don't have to just like mow the lawn throughout this entire map to try to find things. Like they're pointed. You can go find them. So
yeah, that's cool.
The battles though themselves, I think I touched on pretty much everything. All I'll say is if you're not a card battler, and I enjoy a good card battling game, but if you don't like that, if you're like, ooh, that kind of turns me off to this, these battles are not hard and also aren't even really mandatory. Like, if you fail, if you go and help your mascot and you don't do it right, like at the beginning, I wasn't even sure. It doesn't really explain what the statistics even mean. You kind of have to figure that out as you play. But I wasn't doing it right. I didn't know what anything meant, and I was just clicking cards to see what happened. If you fail, all you really lose is a percentage of the total money you were going to earn. So if you were going to earn 100,000 yen, you might then just earn 90,000 yen instead of the full 100,000.
That's not too bad.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
No, it's not punishing at all. So even though later on I was extremely rich and really didn't even have to go help the mascots, I could have just let them fail. I always did it anyway. I felt like, I got to
kind of fun, right?
It doesn't take any time, and it is kind of fun. The only thing I'll say is it does get like assigning the jobs to the mascots and going and doing the card battling. It gets a bit repetitive by the 20-hour mark when you're almost done with the game. Like it almost becomes a thing where it's like, okay, all my mascots are back from their jobs. I have to go to this menu, and I have to sit in this menu for 5 minutes and assign. Okay, now I'm done. Now I can go and drive the truck to where I wanted to go, right? And actually play the other part of the game. But it is very much a balance between lots of different genres, and the uniqueness of what this game is doing is what makes it charming, I would say. Right. So,
yeah. So it's like a fun loop, but like maybe a little too much of that maybe towards the end, it sounds like. But it's a really cool and interesting loop, sounds like.
I think that, and maybe this is only me, or not only me, I would say several people who probably enjoy doing card battling type games like that probably would want for more difficulty in it or more stakes, right? The reason it gets boring is because I'm not really punished for it. And it's not hard. Like I go in there and I click 3 times and then the battle's over most of the time, and then I'm done. I go back to the main game. And assigning the mascots themselves, once you get to 30 million yen, I'm getting, maybe 100K or 200K from these jobs, but I'm getting all this other passive income. Like, I don't even really need to assign them anymore after a certain point. I can just let them sit at home, right? So the balance towards the end of the game gets a little funky, not to their discredit, certainly, because people could play the game much less optimized than maybe I did. Like, I really optimized it. I wanted to get all the trophies and stuff like that, so I was really hunting stuff down and making sure I had all the best cards, so it was really easy towards the end. If somebody's just like doing like a more of a mainline route, it's probably a little bit more difficult for them with like the money management type stuff. So
okay.
But I think that after all of that, I'll finally arrive at my verdict unless you guys have any other questions about this game.
You said it was a little over 20 hours. What was like your total runtime by the time you rolled credits on that one?
Yeah, I was at like 23, but
okay.
How Long to Beat says about 21 for 100% completion, and that is probably pretty true for what I actually did. There was some idle time in there when I just got up to go do other things and let the game run. Like any 20-hour game, you're not going to shut it off as soon as you're done, right? You might come back to it. So, but yeah, it's a 20-hour game. The nice thing, I'll say it here, if you want to beat this game, but you're also like collector-minded, it is not at all a hard platinum. Like you're going to do almost everything within the game that you would do anyway, even if you weren't getting trophies for it. So you see white dots on map, you go collect white dots on map. Like that's kind of how it feels. You're going to do it anyway if you're that type of guy. So yep. When I beat the game, I wasn't quite sure. I was kind of keeping track, but I beat the game. I got you got the trophy for beating the game, and then right after, boing, platinum.
Oh, there you go.
Felt good. All right. So that will bring me to the verdict. This is pretty easily a main quest game for me. This is
nice.
This is a banger game. This is I think that a lot of people have said as much. This is one of I would say certainly going to be high up on a lot of the game of the year lists for indie games at least. Yes, it gets a little chatty, and yes, it might overstay its welcome a little bit, but this is like collecting crack at times, man. This is the epitome of just one more thing gaming. Just one more thing. Just one more thing. Just one more thing. There were times I must have said that 20 times in a row and played for another hour and a half. Like I should shut this game off, but I see the next thing. It's right there. I could just do it really quick. And then they give me the text that's like, but I could really use that thing. Like, okay, hold on. And then you go. And it's just, it just pulls you in. Is it the most even thing all the way through? No, but man, there's a good 15 hours of this 20 hours. It's just like, oh yeah, this is anybody's jam that loves that kind of checklist gaming, right? So,
heck yeah.
Promise Mascot Agency is a main quest.
And
awesome.
While you were talking, it got me to officially start the note in my phone that says 2025 games to play for GOTY season. And this is the first game I added to it. Like, all right, I'll get around to it. I'm sold.
I think it's worth playing for the majority of people just purely because of how unique it is. There's not a game like this. There's not a game like this. I don't know if there ever... And I think this dev does really well with that type of thing. They really step outside that box. They kick that box. Like, they don't like doing the typical video game stuff. So, very cool.
Love it. Love
I
it.
thought this one was on Game Pass, but maybe I was mistaken on that. I was looking it up right now. I was like, is this on Game Pass? If not, it's pretty cheap. It's like $25, right?
Yeah, and I've already seen it on sale for like 20. So on Steam at least. PlayStation never puts anything on sale. It doesn't feel like, or anything I want to play at least. But yeah, nice. Yeah, it's one I'm like, okay, this is a little weird, but I like a little weird sometimes, and it weird in a good way. It sounds like it's just like that. When you do the management sim thing, my brain always goes to like Cooking Mama or something like that, where you have like just spinning all these plates. That's what it seems like, So, it is that way, but fortunately, there's only a small chunk of it that feels like you're doing too much, and it's kind of stressful. The rest of it, it's just kind of chill out. Like I said, man, just flying around, taking in the sights, feeling good about it.
So you can get on your main quest, so it's Promise Mascot Agency, get a little stressed out, but then you can unwind down with another main quest, which is Wanderstop. And then when you're done playing video games, you can throw on your favorite TV show, grab your play date, and get a nice side quest in and play Dig Dig Dino. There you go.
There we go.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for our show today. Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us at IndieQuest Pod on Blue Sky. Send us an anonymous text message by clicking the link in the description where you can send us questions. It doesn't say your name, so please keep them friendly, obviously, but we'll respond to those on the show. You can also leave us comments or questions at indiequestpod@gmail.com. We'll read those on the show, answer those, give us a prompt. We might even have a whole topic about them. We've done that in the past. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Twitch and Blue Sky as Blinkum. It's Blink OOMM like Mascot. Seth, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Captain Jockba, and of course in the Polymedia Discord at best place on the internet. And if you want to get in that Discord, head on over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, jump into what I believe is the first tier, and come and talk to us about the games we brought today. Josh, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Josh Leslie. And one thing I did want to ask for you guys to do on the show, we never ask people to do this. Go leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Apple, Spotify has ratings. Just leave us a review. You can even just leave the 5-star if you don't have much to say, but we'd love to read the reviews as well. So it helps the show. It helps build the audience, and it's just nice. It's just nice, and we like to see the feedback, to see how good we're doing or how bad we're doing. But please leave us 5-star if you're gonna leave us a review over there.
You can still say bad things, but just give a 5-star.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, and if you want more podcasts to pass the time, why not check out the Polymedia Network, which is at polymedianetwork.com, which is video games, movies, nostalgia, and more. You're gonna find a podcast you like. Most likely, if you enjoy this podcast, there's gonna be a podcast you're gonna dig over there, so check it out. So Steve, why don't you leave us with some nice parting words today?
Sure. I'll just remind you all that if somebody made a little innocent mistake that ever so slightly burdened you, it's fine, man. It's probably just a little goof. All right, it was probably just a silly little, it's just humans being humans. So anytime you're about to get upset with someone, ask yourself, is this worth being upset about? And the answer is almost always no. Peace out.
See you.